welcome to my channel. I'm Kim Rutherford of Western School of Reiki. During the last 6 to 8 weeks of this global crisis that they're calling pandemic, I'm in Australia, so for us it has been rather low-key as opposed to the rest of the world. And during this time frame, it has become apparent there has been a lot of corruption behind the scenes. So it seems that for some awakened souls, we have been able to see this kind of corruption disclosing itself. And so with all the new directives that have come out, it has really affected the spiritual people, the light workers, the starseeds. And I retreated for the last few weeks to go within. I really found it overwhelming with the amount of false posts that were going up everywhere, the amount of trolls that were on media, and the amount of posts that were taken down. So our voice was being silenced. So I really felt that after the World Meditation on the 5th of April that I really needed to just take time out, and I needed to not be part of the mass hysteria. I needed to go within and listen to my intuition. So I've just spent that many weeks looking after me, basically, because as a spiritual teacher, it does get overwhelming sometimes. But I did feel like after the 5th of April that my major mission in life had been completed, and I now had to wait for my new mission to come in. At the moment, I'm still wavering on, is and what it's going to be. But in the meantime, I like to keep writing. I like to keep blogging about my deep thoughts of what's going on. And what's really come to mind is isolation. This is what they're calling it, interchangeable with the word lockdown. So it is actually quite a draconian thing that we're looking at right now. The kinds of disclosure that's coming through is the corruption that's behind the scenes. If you go to my blog, I have already put up a blog called Isolation, and it's my story, so a blog being my opinion on the world as it is at the moment, and how I perceive that we need to embrace what's going on and change it and transmute it, etc. So I just want to follow up on that blog about isolation. I call it spiritual retreat because I really feel that it's been the perfect time for us to be on retreat. Like, I love being at home, and I've loved pottering around my whole yard. We have almost an acre, so in the beginning of the year, we all got messages in this household that we needed to put in vegetable gardens and need to increase the flock of chooks. So we were just behind everybody else's directive of wanting to get all their veggie gardens up and running. So thankfully, we'd already ahead of time. And it's flourishing very well at the moment. We're ready to put another crop in now. Anyway, so it's been really nurturing for me to go to ground, and that's where I receive most of my messages, where I'm at one with the universe and I'm in the dirt, and it's quiet, it's peaceful, and I can hear all the messages coming in. Anyway, so basically the isolation has led to looking deep within and really having a look at how all the new directives coming out have kind of brought up all sorts of sins inside us. I know the Bible quotes sins, etc., but I mean, most people like to turn away from those kinds of words. But in my blog, I've kind of like elaborated my interpretation of what those sins are, and how this isolation lockdown is actually bringing forward all those sins inside us, exposing it so that we can acknowledge it and work on it. And no one is without any of these sins, I can assure you, so including myself. So I've had to work on these deep attributes of myself in the last 8 weeks as well. Not to mention that for the last 27 years, I have worked a lot around all of these things. But at the moment, with the directives that are coming out, or have come out. And although they say there are restrictions are lifting at the moment, I kind of am seeing that these restrictions are almost a false sense of security, because I feel there's a second wave coming. And it's not necessarily the coronavirus that's the wave. I feel that it's going to be the repercussions of the restrictions that we've had are going to come in a bigger wave, like a tsunami, if you like. And it's going to affect us even more on maybe a greater level. And it's possibly going to be more financial, and maybe food scarcity might also be a bit of a problem. So again, this is why I want to bring to your attention my blog on isolation, is that I cover things like our lack mentality. So it's a case of what you fear the most is what you attract. So if you fear that there's not going to be any food on the shelf, you are literally going to attract no food on the shelf, supermarket shelf or your shelf. So in the beginning of this isolation time, my bestie and I were away doing a seminar, and all of this panic started to happen while we were away. And it's so hard not to get caught up in all that panic. So we went into, actually, I went into the seminar in the break of the seminar I went into the supermarket during the break of the seminar. And while I was there, I was astounded at how empty the shelves were. Like, it freaked me out. And when I come out of that, I really had to get my breath. I really could feel the panic everywhere. So when I went back to tell my friend, what I just experienced, we then, on the way home, went to another supermarket. And by then we'd shifted our consciousness into understanding that there's going to be exactly what we need on the shelf. And lo and behold, there was one of everything that we needed. And so then we decided this is what we need to do. We need to understand that the lack mentality is what you're going to manifest. So then we sort of went to another supermarket on the way home, and the supermarket was full. There was just not a problem. It was like, why are people seeing nothing on the shelf? So then we realized that's why, because people's lack mentality, thinking that there is not enough in the world to go around, and then they have to race in and be greedy and buy more toilet paper than they actually needed, not to mention everything else that they hoarded. I mean, people could be using this food up for the next 2 years at the rate things were disappearing off the shelf. So then you have to ask yourself, why do we have that lack mentality? When has there never been enough of anything, really? Like, no one is without unless they choose to be without. So we set about getting to work on that lack mentality, and we manifested whatever we needed. Wherever you go, whatever you need, you can manifest. And of course, if you go back through my blog and talk about the greed and the gluttony and sloth, etc., all of these attributes roll into each other when you have that lack mentality. So it stands to reason that that's what we need to do. We need to understand that there's enough to go around, and that we can share with people if we have one more of something. And then it comes back to you. That's how the law of karma. So it'll come back for you, and you'll manifest what you need at any given time. You have to be in the right vibrational frequency to have an understanding of that manifestation. The lack mentality comes very much from a third dimensional thought pattern, very much a third dimensional, this third density, this planet's mentality under draconian law, where they have pretty much taken everything from us. Now, if you don't know what draconian law is, I suggest you Google it, Bing it, or DuckDuckGo, whatever it is, the search engine that you're using, to, keep your eyes open. Be open-minded to everything that's going on out there behind the scenes. Because in most cases, while something's going on over here, governments are doing something over here. So it's quite the smokescreen. And that's really been brought to my attention during this last couple of months of spiritual retreat. Anyway, so I have actually really enjoyed my spiritual retreat. Even though there are some dark days, I have definitely come through the dark night of the soul myself on a couple of occasions, but I feel I am better for it. I feel that the butterfly, and as a Reiki master, that happens anyway. You have roller coasters and you come through dark night of the soul. But this one's been different. This one has been in alignment with the paradigm shift that's going on the planet at the same time. So it stands to reason that if the planet is going through a paradigm shift, then that is also becomes internal for us. We do have to go through a shift ourselves. We can't stay the same as what we always were. We can't keep the same mentality as before. The world is completely different. Everything about it is different. And hopefully some of these new directives will go away. Like, directives are only suggestions, it's not new law. So they will ease, they will change. And as the new paradigm unfolds, we will see all new laws and all new things coming to light. Like, there will be all different ways. People are going to invent new ways of growing food, cultivating food, manufacturing everything. Like, everything in the world is being adjusted at the moment. Everything, without question, is absolutely going to change. And if we don't hurry up and move with that change, we're going to get left behind, because if we don't like and embrace change, it's going to be so hard for us to move forward into new paradigm. You will get left behind. And when you find out about all this other stuff, all this corruption going on behind the scenes, it is going to blow your mind so much that you are not going to cope. And hence there will be a lot more mental health issues coming out. So my suggestion is, don't be blindsided. Get well versed. Research things. Research your spirituality and go within. Like, this anxiety that people have been experiencing is because they know deep down inside their soul that something is not right. And when we're not listening to that, then we shut it down and we just bury our head in the sand like an ostrich. So really, you need to listen to your body. Your body is basically the barometer to your soul. It's talking to you. Those goosebumpy feelings you get is your soul talking to you. So listen to that. Listen to that little bit of gut feeling. Not everyone can actually be psychic. It's your interpretation of what psychic actually means. But everybody has gut feelings. Everybody has that knowing that something is not right. And this anxiety is one of them. So pay attention to that anxiety that you're feeling. The other thing I've noticed, which is really exciting and interesting, is that a lot of spiritual people have had anxiety for years. And when this pandemic started, their anxiety stopped. So go figure. So really, do you think that might be because they actually knew deep down in their soul, they knew that something big was coming in the universe, and we were all feeling that anxiousness about that change? So when the change happened, everybody's like, okay, cool. Now they step up into their purpose and they're now doing things that they should have been doing all along, which is so exciting. So many more people are waking up right now, which is fantastic. And so I'm sure they're all going to be looking for all sorts of modalities. The hardest part is learning those modalities, which now is being done online. I'm still trying to work out how to do Reiki online. I mean, the theory is easy. It's the hands-on practice, which, really that's what spiritual people are all about, is hands-on. We're all about love. We're all about touch. We're all about communication. So all of those things are the very thing that the dark side is trying to stop us from doing, of gathering together in a group and bringing our energies up. Because when we're in a group, our energies become collective and we grow and we grow, and you can feel the vibration growing when we're in a group. So right now that's very difficult to do. So we've all had to find a new way of doing that. But again, this is the darkness trying to creep in, so we must not let it creep in. Anyway, so if you would like to go along to my website, westernschoolofreiki.com, have a look at my blogs. It'll be underneath the pull down tab that says Reiki, a natural way to live. And all the blogs are down under there. Isolation should be the last one on the bottom there. And that'll be the story behind this current video. So I would love it if you could like my channel and subscribe, and please share with your friends if you like my content. And thank you for listening. Namaste.